Hey guys, it's Kylie of Kylie in Kentucky, and today I'm going to be testing and reviewing these liquid watercolors from Elemental Carbon on Etsy. Alyssa over at Elemental Carbon, she is the maker of these watercolors along with her mom. They're both chemists, which I think is absolutely awesome. She reached out to me and wanted to send me some watercolors, and I was more than happy to oblige her. So I picked out 3 colors that I thought sounded really pretty and looked really pretty. I got mint julep, hibiscus, and mustard. So let's go ahead and see what these look like. I'm going to be swatching these watercolors on watercolor paper, and I also have, I think it's either size 10 or 12 round brush. I actually covered liquid watercolors in part 1 of my watercolor lettering basics series, so you should check that out if you're curious about how to use liquid watercolors. But basically all you do is you drop some liquid pigment onto a palette. I just use a ceramic plate because it's watercolor and it will wipe off with water. And as you can see, these colors come out really thin and watery, but that's nothing unusual for a liquid watercolor, and they're already really pigmented. So what I did first was I actually got my brush wet first and then used the water in the brush to activate or to make the watercolor pigment on the plate just a little bit more watery. But I wish I hadn't have done that right off the bat. I wish I had just gone in straight to the pigment, which is what I did for the mint julep green color and also for the mustard color. And first impressions here are that these are super pigmented and very smooth, really high quality colors, and I was really impressed. I kind of wish I had left the audio from the camera as it was recording me testing it, because I was quite impressed and I was vocal about it at the time too. I'm only swatching 3 colors today, but Alyssa actually has 10 colors in her shop of these watercolors, and the reason that I chose the ones that I did was because A, I love pink, and B, I love mustard, but also I can mix the mustard and the pink together as well as the mustard and the mint julep together. So technically I can get 5 colors out of the 3, and that's, I'm sneaky like that. So that was my reasoning for choosing these colors, and I don't regret it at all. They're absolutely beautiful. So my experience with liquid watercolors is that they are just super smooth in comparison to other types of watercolors, and I've only ever had experience with really expensive brands, but these are much more affordable and they are no exception to the smoothness rule. They felt so good on the paper and I had a really easy time using them, and they dry beautifully as well. So I decided to go ahead and test these against the more expensive liquid watercolors that I've used, which are Dr. P.H. Martin's Radiant Concentrated Watercolors, and these are half an ounce each, and they're about $6 to $8 depending on where you find them. And as you can see, the Elemental Carbon watercolors are double the size, so it's 1 fluid ounce, and they're $4 per watercolor, or you can get 4 for $15, which is a really affordable price. So I'm just swatching the 2 pinks against each other. The one on the left, both colors on the left side are going to be the Dr. P.H. Martin's, and then the pink and the green on the right side are the Elemental Carbon. And really, there's no difference. There's a slight pigment difference with the pinks, but nothing too noticeable. So now I wanted to create a full piece with these watercolors, and right now I'm just sketching out my little quote, and then as I'm creating, I'll talk to you just a little bit more about them. So actually starting to create this piece, I'm not going to be using the Dr. P.H. Martin's even though they're still on the plate, but I'm only limiting myself to the 3 colors from Elemental Carbon. And like I said before, I wanted to blend and do some blending with all the colors together. So that was my goal with this piece. And I don't know, there's not much to say about them other than that they are really smooth and they work just as well as the expensive liquid watercolors that I've used. One thing to note is that these are not archival pigments, they're not archival inks, and That's common to find in a lot of like student grade art supplies. And archival just means that if it has a lot of direct sunlight on it for long periods of time, or just, 50 years from now, the quality of the color is not going to be the same. It's going to fade over time or with exposure to sunlight. So these are perfect for digitizing or scanning into the computer though. And that's the case with a lot of different things. So that's nothing to be concerned about. Another thing of note is that these are handmade watercolors. So there are some natural ingredients here. So I encourage you to check out the description in the Etsy shop of these watercolors to make sure there's nothing in them that you could possibly be allergic to. But actually, that makes me more excited about this product, because not only is it supporting a small business, but it's a natural handmade product. And I just think that's really cool. And finally, I'm just finishing the piece off by doing some little splatters that actually got everywhere on my white background, and I had to get a new one, so lesson learned on my part. But I was really, really happy and impressed with how these blended and how these dried. They have a great watercolor texture, and that little bit of feathering that you see on the S and the E, that's totally the fault of mine. I got my paper just a little bit damp before I started creating, so that's my fault. Also, I just want to show you that you can stinking erase pencil out from under these things. I do have a really good Tombow eraser that I'm using that will be linked in the description box, but also like the pencil came right out from underneath. So I was really happy. If you want to pick up some of these watercolors, I've got the Etsy shop linked below, and you can click that. You can just buy to your heart's content and tell Alyssa I sent you over. I'm super happy that she wanted to send me some watercolors, and I know I'll be using them for a long time to come.